Hey everyone, welcome to the LA Note. I'm Isabella Bedoya, music correspondent, and here today with me I have Natalis Rubero, who is a singer-songwriter, producer, and she also has a course coming out, which we'll dive in a little bit deeper on what that is. So first of all, welcome Natalis.
Thank you. Hi, Izzy. How are you?
Hey. I'm so excited to connect with you. Okay, so for the people that don't know you, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about who you are, how you got into music, and all that fun stuff.
Okay, so I'm a singer-songwriter primarily, but I also model, I act, and I'm an entrepreneur starting several businesses that we'll talk about later. And how I got into music, pretty much ever since I was a child and I learned how to babble, I was singing and making my own music in my own way. But since I started pursuing it professionally, I want to say around 2018 or so, one of my first major gigs was with J. Cole, singing background vocals for his album Born Sinner. And then that led to another opportunity with Kanye West singing background vocals for his album Honest. And then I've just been like finding different stepping stones, jumping from one to the next and figuring out what my success path looks like.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Did you have, like, prior to start working on other people's songs, did you have any connections in the music industry? Or was this something that you just started from scratch completely?
I did have connections in the music industry, and they came by ways of a youth chorus group that I used to be in when I was a kid. And so a lot of my singer friends that were in that chorus, they actually started working on their careers in their own way and navigated into the industry. And we all like tag each other in on opportunities and when certain things are going on.
That's awesome. So it was just like by form of just connecting with your community, you were able to then form those bridges that led on to bigger opportunities down the road.
I want to highlight my choir director. Obviously, his name is Alvin Fields. I had three: Alvin Fields, Mr. McCann, and Carmen Roman. And then my pioneer friends like Little Eddie and Claude Kelly that, they really taught me how to work my pen and how to find my voice in the studio.
That's really cool. Yeah, connections do play a big role. And I think if you were to give one piece of advice for anyone that's just starting in the music industry, what would it be so they can actually start getting their foot in the door with these connections and meeting people?
Yeah, I would say the best way to network is to go out to events, open mics in your neighborhood, join singing groups, songwriting classes. In all these places, you're going to find people that have a similar vision to you or that they're working on the same thing. And you never know who they know. You never know who they are, and they never know who you are. So it gets to be an even exchange if you stay open and vulnerable while you're networking.
Yeah, that's very valuable advice. So from youth choir to working with Kanye, how? What's the backstory there?
For me, I was a star student, an overachiever in that way. Like when I do something, I'm going to do it 1000%. And I think my choir directors saw that in me. And so during the process of becoming a choir member, there's like different levels to it. And so eventually the goal is to like get to the level that represents the choir on TV and in large gigs and things of that nature. So that was my goal, to be in that group of individuals that like, hey, we got something really big going on. I want you guys to call on me, or I want to be within that group of people you call first. And yeah, that's what I did. My directors know they can trust me. I'm going to show up and be professional, execute, and definitely represent everything that they've taught me in a proper way. So
that's really cool. Did you have any like previous original music before you started working on other projects, or was it, or did the original music come after?
Yeah, no, I had an EP called Intermission before that, and it was a play on the word intermission because I was like in a pause in my life where I wasn't sure if I wanted to pursue it or not, but I knew that it was something that eventually I needed to figure out within myself. So that EP was just like a collection of cover songs and like me experimenting with different sounds, finding my studio voice to see what will work, which is why you won't find that one online. That one is available via a special download link no one has anymore.
That's a mixtape.
Yeah, it's a mixtape. And speaking of mixtapes, I also had two mixtapes out under this alter ego called The Remix Queen, where I would take like top 40 male R&B songs and flip them and do the female version of it. And so that was fun. That helped me start gaining a little traction and getting to explore with different areas of my voice.
That's really cool and that's really creative. When you did start working on like your own original music, what was the essence? Like what was the messaging behind it?
So I try to create my albums based on things that I'm going on in my life. And I feel like the better that I can use music to heal and reflect and process what I'm going through, then maybe there's other people out there going through similar things that can connect with what's on my mind. So usually that's always the core of all of my EPs, is definitely related to a phase I'm in or something that I'm going through that I feel like I need to get out.
Yeah, that's even more powerful because now you can actually connect with people and people resonate to that. People definitely resonate with stuff like that. When you were working on your own music, did you have any particular influences or anyone that you really like admired?
Growing up, I studied Janet Jackson a lot. And so as my vocal cords were shaping, I could do a really good Janet Jackson impression. And a lot of her stuff just subconsciously sits in my brain as I'm creating. So she often comes up when I'm working on stuff.
When you started, literally you started at a youth choir, then you started working with celebrities, then you started working on your own music, and now you're releasing a course. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so the course is called In the Booth Boot Camp. And my wonderful coach, Izzy, helped me get into third gear with this and really figure out what it is, the knowledge that I have that I can pay forward to other people. And so basically it's a course designed to meet an independent musician who's at the very beginning of their career and they don't know what is the first step to take. So I hold their hand through that process and get them to turn from being local artists to like entrepreneurial musicians and approaching music from an entrepreneurial standpoint and mindset. We do that. And then there's also learning how to record yourself at home, which is really fun. I teach people some of my quick techniques that help me get my ideas down, and it saves me so much money from going to the studio and hiring engineers to do things on my behalf. I can't wait to share it. I feel like there's a lot of good insights and a lot that I can offer to someone who's just trying to start.
That's amazing. That's very powerful too, especially like having all of that background experience with it. It's not like you just came up with it randomly.
It's been like 15 years of knowledge and research and trial and error in the making. And
yeah,
over the last, I want to say 2 or 3 years, people have been coming to me with frequent questions. And I'm trying to just figure out a way to best serve more people that are trying to find answers that are hard to find.
Yeah, and just create a bigger impact. That's awesome. When you just mentioned it right now, it's like the whole trial and error. And as you're going through this experience, sometimes people don't see, they think it's just, oh, here's another course. But what I like about yours is that you just said it's 15 years compiled into this one thing. And if you could just share maybe like some mistakes, hard lessons that you learned along the way that you wish you would have, if you wish someone would have told you not to do because you had guidance. Do you have any stories like that?
Yeah. A terrible mistake that I made was not seeking legal advice for a particular contract. It was written in layman's term and I was able to understand it just by reading it face value. But what I didn't understand was what was not in the contract that should have been there to protect me. And yeah, I would say that's the first step. You definitely want to get a good lawyer on your side that's going to make sure nobody is taking advantage of you.
Yeah, no, legal is very important. Okay, so when you were going through your whole music journey, music careers are very challenging, right? Because there's so many things that you have to go through. When you were going through maybe like some of the tough parts, like dealing with the legal issues and stuff, what motivated you to keep going?
My family. And then also just, I know I've shared this with you, but a lot of people don't know I have an autoimmune condition. And I feel like often people who experience life and have to deal with these things, they often get discouraged and feel like there's no way out, or they have to just give up on everything because of their disabilities. And so I want those people to see that there's so much possible, especially now that we can go at our own pace and we can create our own path. The sky is the limit.
Yeah, and that's also something that you share that very vulnerably on social media too, and I think that takes so much bravery and courage. And were you always like that, or did you have maybe like a mindset shift or something that...
Oh, no, it definitely was a journey for me. Like in the beginning, when I was first diagnosed, I was in denial. So I had to accept what it was first. And then learn how to best take care of myself before I felt comfortable talking about it. And then also I met a mentor who gave me a really good tool, and he was like, when in doubt, focus out. Like, it's not about you, but about the people that need to hear or be inspired or moved by something you don't even know will impact them. So I try to keep that at the forefront. A lot of people don't like to share what they go through in terms of their struggles because they don't want the pity party or people to like gravitate to them like, oh, bendito. But when those thoughts hit my head, I try to put it to the side and say, no, there are other people that do need to hear what just happened, what's happening, what's next, and how to get through it.
Yeah. And now that you said that, I also just remembered, what about what's going on with Bendito Records?
Woo! So I've been staffing up. I am in the middle of probably signing a distribution agreement with another company. I don't want to speak too soon on it, but seeking distribution and staffing up so that I can then start recruiting artists. I do have 2 artists that I'm mentoring right now, and my hopes is that when I'm in a position and I'm fully staffed or have the proper resources to then funnel that into them, then that would be the next step to like officially sign them to my label.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Maybe this is something that we might have not touched on yet, but what are you like working on for the next few months or the next year even? What's your big focus on projects, music releases, anything big going on in your life, essentially?
Actually, I'm in the middle of focusing on my royalty, obtaining my royalties. I have songs that have streamed in the millions that I've written for other people that I've not been paid yet. And so it's been like a constant daily call this person, call that person, email this one, email that one. So I want to get my royalty income straightened out. That's a focus that I have for the next 6 months. Locking in with distribution, like I mentioned earlier, because I want to find a company that I'm not just a number to them, a company that's going to push my product and put it in places where it's going to be properly received. And then just figuring out how to graduate to the next level. I would love to have a placement on a major artist, on someone who's top 40. That would be awesome. And so I'm just tapping into my networks and tapping into my abilities to see what I can manifest.
That's amazing. That's amazing. How can people support you?
Sharing information, contacts if you have any. Definitely follow me on social media on all my platforms. It's Natalis Ruby, and stay up to date. When I have a release, stream it in your preferred platform, show a comment, and share it with somebody that you think will like it too. I think that's the best way and the free way to support any musician. For me to pursue this full time, I have to genre bend and collaborate with different people to open up my opportunities to make income.
And that's important because it makes you so versatile, and it opens up. Now you're not in one box, but you're so versatile that you make even more connections in all these places.
Oh yeah, thank you. I love music. I feel like music is universal. And I'm grateful that the people following me thus far, they understand that I may come out with a reggaeton today and tomorrow it might be EDM. Just rock with me if you feel it, and if you don't, it's okay. I'll come back with something else.
Yeah. And that's true. I think especially nowadays with TikTok and social media, a lot more artists are starting to explore different genres, and it's just part of the process.
And also find new ways to fuse different genres together, which is something I've been playing with. I've been asking myself, if Sade were to make a reggaeton album, what would that feel and sound like? Creative with it, and trying to tap into other people's process that are successful and iconic.
That's really cool. You literally are up to such great things, and it's always so refreshing to hear what you're up to. If you have any piece of advice or if there's one thing that you could say that would help someone that's trying to fill the same shoes that you're going through, what would that be? Like, what would that be, that one piece of advice?
I would say to start by forming strong relationships with the people in your circle that are in the industry, because like I said before, everybody can be a resource to you, or you can be a resource to someone to help your career elevate or their career elevate. So I know it's like the number one answer we don't want to hear. I don't want to network. I'm antisocial. I'm introverted. But that's really the key, like meeting people and connecting with people who have a similar goal.
And it sounds like from the very beginning you had that code cracked. And also just from listening to your story too, it also sounds like your environment. You always put yourself in an environment where you're gonna be meeting someone that could have either you share value to them or they share value to you.
Yeah, I always strive to be the dumbest person in the room. If I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room.
Oh my gosh.
I got so much more to learn. I want to learn.
Love that.
Like the biggest placements that I have all been by ways of a friend from high school or someone that I knew very closely that trusted me and knew about my abilities and my dreams.
That's incredible. All right, so I guess any last words?
No, I think we covered all bases.
Cool. Thank you so much for being here on the show with me today. I'm really grateful for you, and I'm excited for the world to hear all about your amazing stories and successes.
Same here, and thank you so much for your support with my online course and just encouraging me with your email blasts and all the information that you share on your platform. That's so helpful to independent musicians like me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.